Hi. So I'm coming on to talk about a question that's come up a couple times. And I think this will be really helpful for you. So I got this question today. Though I'm struggling with scarcity right now, I'm sure part of this is that I can't go out and meet people right now. So my only way is via online. I probably find one man that meets my desires for every 50 men I look at. And it's hard for me to believe that it will happen. This is a question I got today, and I just wanted to hop on and share some thoughts around how you can start to handle this sort of fear for yourself. If this is happening for you, this is going to be very useful live. So, why do these scarcity thoughts kind of creep in on us? There's actually a brain-based reason for this, and I find it really useful to actually understand like what's going on in my brain so that then I'm not so judgmental of myself and also not so afraid of what's going on in the thoughts that I'm having, because it's actually just the way our brains are designed, and let me explain what I mean by that. So this happens because our brains are designed for survival, or what helped our ancestors survive. So we have what's called a negativity bias. And this is a psychological principle that when things are even of equal intensity, the ones that are more negative could be negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative social interactions, harmful or traumatic events. Even when that's like equal to positive things, the negative ones have a greater impact on our emotional and mental state and thinking rather than the positive or even neutral events. So as humans, we tend to remember traumatic experiences over positive ones. We recall insults better than praise. We react more strongly to negative things in our environments, and we'll remember those. We think about negative things more frequently than we're going to be thinking about positive things, and we respond more strongly to negative events rather than positive events, right? This is all the negativity bias that our brains are designed for. So, for example, if your day is going great and then you're dating or hoping to meet someone, right? You had a really good day. And then you go on the dating app and, a guy who you'd been talking to for a couple days kind of disappears or maybe just isn't really responding well anymore. And suddenly your mind is going to go totally south, totally negative just from that one thing that happened, even though there'd been plenty of positive stuff until that moment. And now suddenly you're afraid, oh my God, there's not going to be any men for me. There's no good men anywhere. And I'm going to die an old cat lady, right? Like that's what our brain will do, despite the fact that maybe we've had plenty of good dates with men. It just wasn't kind of the right person yet. There's been lots of other interests, but that one negative event is going to overpower all the positive things that have happened up until that point. And the reason for that is that our brains have a tendency to pay more attention to the negative things and overlook good things. It's a result of basically of evolution. So earlier in human history, when whoever the humans were, right? Anyone who paid more attention to bad, dangerous, or negative threats was more likely to survive because back then it was really a matter of life and death. So then what happened was then they would pass on those genes for a tendency to be overly aware of the negative and overly remember the negative. And then that got passed on to us. So now we have this negativity bias. So what can you do, right? Because this is just how our brains work. Well, first of all, it should be like a relief to know that like, hey, it's just my brain doing this because this is what my brain does. It just has this negativity bias. Just that awareness alone is enough to start saying like, maybe it's not really true though what I'm thinking. It's just the bias that my brain is designed for, used to be for, or a result of needing to survive way back when. So what can we do? Got a bunch of different things for you to do with that scarcity thought or with those fears. There aren't any good men out there for me. So, the law of attraction. The law of attraction basically says that what you focus on, you're going to get more of, or what you're in the frequency of, you'll get more of whatever that frequency is. So maybe this sounds woo-woo to you. Maybe you're totally like, yep, 100% believe in the law of attraction. But what I love about this law is that it's actually based on brain science. So I'm going to give you an example. Have you ever noticed that when you want something or are interested in something, suddenly you're seeing it everywhere, like before you didn't really notice it at all? So like, for example, maybe you were suddenly thinking about buying a particular car, particular brand of car, model, color, and now suddenly you're driving around and you're seeing that kind of car everywhere. And before you never ever noticed it. So it doesn't mean that suddenly there's more of this car on the road and there wasn't before. It's just that you weren't focused on that particular car or that type of brand of car and that color of car before. So I remember when I was like 11, I really, really, really wanted to get my ears pierced. And I had never in my entire life paid attention to people's earrings that much. But suddenly, now that I wanted to get my ears pierced, because I really wanted to be able to wear earrings, suddenly I was noticing everybody's earrings and everybody's piercings. And I had never noticed before. Didn't mean that more people had their ears pierced, but now I was paying attention to it. So the reason for this is that our brains have something called a reticular activating system. It's just part of our brain that filters out what we notice through our senses because we could not literally take in all of the information around us. It would be overwhelming. So our brains, to help us out, filter out what we think is important and what we don't think is important. So what we have been focusing on or paying attention to, we're going to notice more of because it will actually let that into us through our senses. And our brain is going to filter out anything that we're not signaling to our brain is important to us or matters to us. So this is why you start to notice more synchronicities when you're looking for something in particular, because suddenly your brain is looking for it and now you see it everywhere. So this is kind of how that works. It's similar because what we're doing, it's just like the law of attraction. What we're focusing on, we get more of. Not because before it didn't exist, but just because our brain was filtering out before, because we hadn't signaled to our brain, this matters to me, this is important to me. So we consciously reject, right? Our brain is rejecting anything that we're saying doesn't matter. So our outer world really is a mirror of our thoughts or what's going on internally. And we've got this negativity bias that already predisposes us to be only or mostly hyper-focusing and remembering and reacting to negative things. So we've kind of got two things going on. We've got a brain that filters things out for us that we don't signal to the brain that is important. And then we've got a negativity bias. So these two things often create what then feels like scarcity. If we're saying this doesn't exist and our brain is looking for evidence that this doesn't exist, right? So if I say there is no good men out there, my brain is actually looking then for evidence that that's true. So we've got like two things that are creating that scarcity that we seem to be experiencing. So I've got some hacks just based on these two ways that our brains work. So the first one is that I want you to actually start to notice and to celebrate when you see happy couples together, people getting engaged, getting married, when you see really cute guys, nice guys. I want you to celebrate that that is coming into your experience. Why? Because then you're training your brain for what you want and you're training your brain to positively respond, which is not what it is designed to do. We've got that negativity bias. So when you notice a thought train going in a negative direction, I want you to stop it immediately, stop the negativity, and replace it with truth, which is that love is abundant, men are abundant, and you are going to find your person. It's just the negativity bias that's making you think no. So if happy couples are around you, that means it's also in your field. So train your brain instead to celebrate every couple that you see. Great men are also there, but you're literally blind to them, right? Because of our reticular activating system. And this actually plays into your love blueprint. What kind of man are you looking for? Because maybe you're missing out on the really great men. You literally do not even see them because you're not looking for it. So instead of going down the road that someone else has a partner and you don't, Understand that things only ever come into our experience because we're aligned to it. And then I want you to stop that negative self-talk, okay? So start paying attention to the type of thoughts that run through your mind. I'm too old, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not interesting enough, there just aren't any good men left, all of the good men are avoidant, whatever it is that is your negative self-talk, I want you to switch it around. Why? Because not only is it feeding into the scarcity, but then when you've got that negative mindset or that scarcity mindset, it's going to shape how you show up with other people, with men. It's going to shape the energy that you're in, the way you're responding to them, what you're saying, and it's the frequency that you're giving off. You don't want to be in a scarcity mindset while you're interacting with them, because that's not attractive, and people can feel that. So we always want to get back to what we're being. What am I being right now? What am I thinking right now? Negativity bias, don't believe it. Choose something else. Replace with positive affirmations. So you can try something like, my perfect partner is on his way. Love isn't hard to find. Eligible men are plenty. Love is all around me. I just haven't found it yet. Everything works in the perfect timing. Whatever you need to replace with, whatever that thought is that's really not true, but just negativity bias, replace it with what you actually want to be experiencing. Train your brain to not go into the negative. And then focus on what's working in your life. So that way you send the message, I want more of this, please. And you train your brain, this is what I want more of in my experience. So what's working? Don't focus on what's not. So if you go on the app and it's bringing you down and you're not able to battle those thoughts, then you don't go on the app anymore. You focus on something else. What is working? Put your attention, put your energy there. So maybe it's your family, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your pets, maybe it's work that you love, maybe it's books that you love, exercise that you love, whatever it is, what's working in your life, that's where you want to put your attention. And then you want to shift your energy. So you want to find out, okay, what do I really love to do? What actually puts me in the energy of abundance, of feeling really good? What can I do to shift this energy that I'm in? So often that's actually physical movement. So it could be like dance, it could be going for a walk, it could be exercise, yoga, playing with your pets, singing, sometimes it's meditating, exercise, call a friend, someone who you laugh a lot with, whatever it is that's going to shift you out of that whole thing altogether, right? Because it's not real. So you just need to find a way to shift it. So you're working with the thoughts, and then you work with physically, what are you doing? And then finally, the last thing you can do is you can just reframe the whole situation. So instead of focusing on what's not good and not working about this situation, since the fact is, yep, I am single, I want you to actually turn it around. How is that actually working for you right now? So what's actually good about being single right now? How is this actually benefiting you? And I want you to think of, can you come up with like 50 reasons? So then it's another way to just shift out of that scarcity mindset that you're in right now. So I hope this was helpful. Oh, hi Madeline, hi Brenda, how are you guys? So I'm going to sign off unless you guys have questions. Any questions? I love the hearts. Okay, looks like we're good. I'm gonna sign off. Have a beautiful rest of your night. Go do those things. If you are stuck in that scarcity thinking, go do those things that I talked about. Brenda, need this in writing so I can remind myself. Perfect, just go back and rewatch. Go back and rewatch it. Oh, I didn't even notice the sad face, Madeline. All right, guys. You're welcome. I'm gonna sign off. Have a good night.